Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike. Mike King here. This is the premier business radio program. We're out there talking to the movers and shakers, people making the RVA a great place to live. We're talking to entrepreneurs, and they come from all across the board. People out there who are making a difference, who understands that business can help society be better. Sir, tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Carl Gupton, and I'm with Greenswell Growers. We are a large commercial scale greenhouse here in Richmond, Virginia.
But it's not typical growing.
No, it's not.
It's not the old school. Explain exactly
Sure.
what you guys are.
Sure. The best way to put it is we found something in the market that basically 95% of our produce and leafy greens, lettuce, come from the West Coast. They come from one little valley in California or the deserts of Arizona.
Okay.
Ship all the way across our country, use a lot of natural resources. You got to truck it all the way across. So what we did was we see people want local, people want fresh. What we did was figure out a way to bring that to the people here.
Okay, so when things are coming from the West Coast, it's adding cost, it's adding on those things. It's not as fresh. Where are you located?
We're located in Gupton County, Virginia. So
okay,
right outside 288.
All righty. You always wanted to be a farmer?
No.
No, all right.
The honest answer, everybody says this. I got a call about 3 years ago from our founders through a mutual friend. I get a text from him said, some guy's going to call you about growing lettuce. And I kind of laughed and said, there's something I know nothing about. So let's hear it out. They walked me through the business model and it clicked with me. I was running a food packaging company here in Richmond, dealing with a lot of food processors. And you could see that the market was extremely tight when it came to produce and it came to proteins. And this was a way to solve the food problem. I mean, the cause that's behind our company is something we all truly believe in. It started with, it's a derivative of Feedmore. Feedmore wanted to find a way to get fresh produce to their constituents with people that were underserved. They could only get about 25% of that, of the what they gave away was fresh produce. The others was canned goods, which are high in sugar, high in sodium, all those kind of problems that come with communities that are seeing diabetes, heart disease. So if you get fresh produce to them, you can change their lives. You can change the way that their eating patterns and their health patterns that go with it. So started this business. I mean, obviously it's a for-profit company, but we partner with the community that we're selling to.
And a lot of times people talk about food deserts. We're talking about people not eating the right thing.
Yeah.
So it helps getting people started early,
exactly,
like with kids. So let's talk about that, and let's also talk about community and the culture that is woven into what you guys do.
Yeah. No, the community. One, we're dependent upon the community to buy our product. But it's got to taste good. I got 3 kids. My 3 kids didn't eat lettuce to save their lives. They would fight me tooth and nail. They take our product and they actually eat it every single night. We have a salad as a family. Those kids will eat it. And which tells me it's got to be good product that if we're selling it. And the problem that you have is so much, you're talking about the West Coast, all this product has to come east.
Yeah.
It's harvested in the field. It's got about a 10 to 12 day window on it from when it's harvested to when it's going to go out of date. It spends 5 to 7 days in transit, pick, process.
So 5 to 7 days from the West Coast pick to get here to Richmond or the East Coast.
So you got 5 days left on it. And, you know, people are used to eating lettuce that I'll call is subpar. And it's just a factor of the way that our country was designed, with all the ag being out west and all the population being out east.
Never looked at it that way. All right, yeah. Carl Gupton is here with us. All righty, let's oh, you brought something else here with you. All righty, so here we are packaging with this. How long is it? It took 5 to 7 days to get from the West Coast. So, how long does it take from this being picked to get
on a store shelf?
Yes.
We ran this Friday and it was on a store shelf Saturday. Now, on top of that, so you've got like a 5-day window left with the stuff with conventional farming. Our product has a 21-day shelf life, and it's off of the way that it's grown. And it's the reason that we looked into lettuce. We saw it as one of the highest sellers in retail in the produce category, but it also had the highest waste factor. So we could kind of solve a problem for the retailers out there that we could give them extended shelf life. We could bring those shrink numbers down from 30% down to 5%. And it helps their bottom line, helps our bottom line. And we can we can have fresh produce that people trust.
All righty, sir. How do you go about doing that?
It is an amazing process that we have. One, we've got a great team behind us, but we've got an 1.5-acre greenhouse that is fully automated. From seed to your fridge, no human hands touch the product. It's a fully automated system that grows. We know what the light levels are, what the airflow levels are, what needs to be done temperature-wise, and we can make all these micro adjustments inside of the greenhouse, control the product down, and then process it, and boom.
How long does it take from the time the seeds to you guys are harvesting?
It takes about 21 to 28 days, depending on the product. What'll kind of blow your mind with this process and why we think the business model works. If we had an 1.5 acres in Salinas County, California, where all this product is grown, USDA says they yield about 32,000 pounds a year out of that 1.5 acres. They have 3 to 4 harvests a year. Gets on the product. Our facility in that same 1.5 acres can harvest about 700,000 pounds of lettuce out of it through this fully automated facility that we've got. You know, we're a good sized company, but we only have about 13 team members in our organization. The process because it's so highly automated.
So when we see people picking out, we think of farming and we think there's somebody there.
It is.
It is.
I mean, that's the way the conventional farm is.
Okay, so what happened with yours?
We're able to really what this came from is Europe is about 30 years ahead of us when it comes to indoor growing, so controlled environment agriculture. We brought over basically the best Europe has to offer into our space. If you think of Europe, Northern Europe's where the majority of the population is. They have limited farmland, they have limited days, the temperature is not great for ag. So the Dutch 100 years ago created these greenhouses where they were able to grow tulips and things like that, and it turned into you know where they grew their produce, where they grew their food, and they could do it. And we brought over this automated system. We partnered with the right guys up front. Our 3 founders went out and found people with extreme knowledge into this industry. A company called Crop King that helped us design the greenhouse, source the equipment, and taught us how to grow.
How long have you guys been in business?
We have been operational for about 14 to 15 months right now.
Okay. When, you know, as a business, you hang your shingle out, you think you got something. When did the company know that you had something?
We knew we had something when we were building this in the middle of COVID. When we saw the shelves empty in the grocery stores, people were out of produce. They couldn't get it. We were solving that logistics problem. We were bringing the produce to the people. And we had to change. This model is changing the way that we get our food in this country. And we can bring to it. We can guarantee supply. If you look out west in the valley in Salinas, their huge problem is their water. They don't have enough water out there. They're trying to decide, do they give the farms water or do they give the people water?
Well, that's it.
And you know which one's going to lose on that.
The farm's going to lose.
The farm's going to lose.
So what is it about? So I guess Chesterfield has the new, what is it? What's that? Is it berries?
Berries. They're going to grow strawberries and Plenty. And Plenty's a neat company. Our business models are a little bit different. There's this divergence that happened in the CEA space. You see people say greenhouse grown, or you hear vertical farms. Those are kind of the two things. Plenty is a setup of a vertical farm. So ours is a greenhouse. So we're using basically mostly Mother Nature. Everything we do, about 70–80% of the energy that the plant gets comes from the atmosphere. We just supplement and make it a perfect environment for it. With vertical farms, they're growing indoors. They're using a lot of power, need a lot of energy to it, but it's a really neat process that they've developed.
For us as a people, what will this do when, as you say, Europe is 30 years ahead? What will it do when we start looking at growing other things the same way?
Yeah, and that's what you're going to do. I mean, that is. We're going to see most of our produce. So right now, only about 5% of the produce we get come out of controlled environment ag. They see that number. I mean, Kroger's a prime example where we launched this week with Kroger. Kroger told us in the meeting that they see about 30% of their market turning to CEA in the next 5 years or so. So this is a huge thing because it tells them Kroger can place an order on a Monday, have product on a Tuesday, and I can tell them 28 days in advance how much product I have for them. It's not like a farm. Like, you know, we have a farmer on our board of directors, and Rob will tell us he could have perfect conditions for 3 months. One day of 2.5 inches of rain ruins his entire crop, and we can keep that out of the way.
So from a business standpoint, the model that you guys have is a lot easier than the unpredictability of what we've grown up with.
No, you nailed it. We call it predictable supply is what we can offer them. And it's something that's kind of almost unheard of in the produce category.
All righty, Carl, you are here with us. You are an expert because we've never done one of these things before. All righty, so you guys do lettuce. And a lot of times, whether it's IT or business, we were just talking to Will Keck about, doing a little bit more outside of your space.
Sure.
Where do you go next?
Where do we go next? We're about ready to triple the capacity of our greenhouse. We're about ready to expand. That facility will stay lettuce. It's set up
lettuce. Okay.
But what we do look is we're seeing more and more, parents out there on the rush, prepared salad programs. Right now, we'd like to look at probably our next phase is how to put together a salad kit that's got, croutons, dressing, maybe a protein inside of it. We've got some good partners, U-Crops right here. U-Crops Home Style Foods helped us. Bobby, Scott, and Chris over there were really a huge help to us. Crack the retail code. These are guys that have done it.
Yeah, well, if there's anyone who puts the stamp of approval on it when you have the U-Crops name and brand associated with that does it.
Yeah.
Is it okay? So what stops you guys from starting to make turnip greens or like anything else? So is the concept still the same?
Concept's still the same. The automation will be different. So our automation is set up to grow baby leaf greens, what you see here. Now, as we go into possibly other products down the road, we see two things. It's got to sell. It's got to have volume behind it to move it. And it's got to be something that's got a short shelf life with it. So, we're looking at other products, some small melons that we may think about doing with. It's something different on the shelf.
So the idea of it is it has to have a short shelf life because
I can make it better. That's got to be my hustle too.
That's the hustle to which we understand the hustle here. Yeah. And it's still the idea coming from the West Coast. You cut that down.
Yeah, you take that logistics and you gotta do more with our natural resources. We're running out of natural resources. We can all have these fights over, climate change. Climate is changing. I mean, it's statistically, it's happening. You're seeing more violent weather. It's changing weather patterns, which is affecting our farms. You actually go out to the Midwest. You're seeing now, historically, Iowa's been known for corn. And the reason you have all the processing plants around it, for cattle and for hogs is because they got corn fed there. Well, guess what? Corn shifted about 150 miles north. Now they're growing corn in southern Minnesota, which they've never historically done. So climate's changing. We're able to help control that, and we're able to feed the masses. You look at it from a simple perspective. Our farmlands are shrinking in this country, and our population's growing. That doesn't work.
No, that's not a remedy for success. When you look to go in to take these from the business standpoint, how do you get your lettuce into supermarkets?
They've got to trust the product. I think that's one of the biggest things that we got. We brought something new to the space, and retail. Retailers have been around. Grocery stores have been around for 100 years inside here, and they have got set processes that go with it. You've got to prove that there's a need and there's a want there for better produce. We think that there was that. The retailers tried it. It's sold. It's moving. It's moving faster than a lot of conventional farm products out there, and with the U-Crops partnership, we were able to kind of cut the lead time in sales, getting into these retailers with a trusted brand like that. U-Crops sells a ton of salads themselves, and prepared salads.
I'm on my way over there when
all right.
To get that.
Well, they've got a salad that we did just for them and Kroger probably about 7 or 8 months ago. The balsamic and blue salad, which was a huge hit with them. It's fresh, looks good. I mean, you look at that produce all the way around that. You don't see browning. You don't.
Anything. When you guys were coming through COVID, but you came in after.
So yeah, we built our facility in the middle of
COVID. Okay, when did you know we might survive this and we still may have an opportunity?
I'd say when we put the first shovel in the ground, we knew that we had something. I have to give our founders a lot of credit. They spent about 3 or 4 years flushing out this idea, making sure that the business made sense. Because there's two kind of sustainability. There's the typical environmental sustainability that we offer. It's also economic sustainability. You have to have a business long run. I have to be able to go to a bank and tell them, heck, this is a good idea. This is why it works, and this is why we can grow our business. We did both of those things up front. And we learned from, I'm not going to lie, we learned from mistakes from some of our competitors. There's a lot of guys that went out there with 15 different product offerings. We said, no, we're going to do 2 to 3 products really well. We're going to focus on that, and we're going to nail that, and then we'll look to expand into other things as we get past that.
When we look at the brands, how can people get information out there about you?
Sure. Greenswellgrowers.com gives you a website, gives you the background on our business, on our products. You can follow us on, the traditional social media feeds, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. So we've got those kind of basics to us, especially on our website. You can go to the Find Us tab that tells you every store that we're in. Right now, we started with Food Lion, Harris Teeter in the Hampton Roads and Norfolk area, and now we're rolling out with Kroger, and we've got a couple other retailers getting ready to come under the tent.
So let me ask you, for people who don't know, getting space inside a supermarket, I mean, you just hear the horror stories of what it takes. Tell us. Let us know.
It's a lot of conversations. It's you gotta prove it yourselves out. We were lucky on the front end. We could use the local programs, and a lot of grocery stores try to have a local program. Gotcha. Some don't. Okay. I won't badmouth those guys. But the local program, we got up on the shelf. Harris Teeter, prime example. We got up on the shelf with Harris Teeter in Northern Virginia and Hampton Roads, and we saw. They said, your sales are going to go up one day. They're going to kind of flatline and then plateau, take a little dip. That'll happen in about 3 weeks' time. Well, we were 4 months in, still seeing steady growth inside of there through not being part of their set. Their set is what you're trying to get into. In Kroger, we're in their planogram, their set. And we're doing the same thing now.
So when you say they're set, what does that mean?
I got a slot on the shelf at the same spot every single time.
So when Carl got the thumbs up from Harris Teeter or Kroger or anywhere, it was a good day for you guys.
It was a great day.
There was a bad day for somebody because somebody
had to come off.
Somebody got kicked to the curb.
Well, yes, you're exactly right because the shelf space is a lot of the supply issues with traditional lettuce was struggling out there. There was huge gaps, and you'll still see it today. There's gaps in those shelves because they can't get product. Listen to this story. Iceberg lettuce. This summer, usually a case of lettuce sells for about $17 to $20. Goes through the year. In December, there's a huge shortage. Cases went from $20 to over $100 per case. And this is on that little iceberg $1.99 lettuce.
Absolutely, yes.
It should have cost you $5 to $6 for a head of lettuce. What we can do is offer them consistent pricing too. As long as my power demands don't get too out of whack, I can offer a pretty stable pricing. In a time of inflation, which everybody's battling, and the grocery store is probably the biggest hit at all times. I mean, when they do the inflation numbers, they have to pull the grocery store out of those numbers when the Fed gives you those numbers.
Let's talk about business in Gupton. We talk about, sometimes people overlook Gupton, sleep on it. Let's talk about the business community there.
You couldn't find a better group of people to work with. Mike, you're unprovoked on that question, which is awesome because the economic development team at Gupton have been amazing. They really have. If we had a problem, we could go to somebody, they could solve that problem for us, and they did it like that. I mean, they wanted to do it for us too, because Gupton's an agricultural community. And that's what it's based on for hundreds of years is the ag support for Richmond. Well, that's changed. Suburbia has bled into Gupton, and they loved what we did. We were modern agriculture. We were the evolution going on.
There you go. So we're here, Greenswell Growers in Gupton County. So different brands of Vibrant Greens. So here we have green leaf, red leaf, and arugula ready to go.
Ready to go.
What do you have there?
I've got a refreshing romaine, which is our green leaf and our red romaine. blended together. You'll find our green leaf in just about all of our product. Our essential green leaf is our other product, which Kevin ran off with, which I love.
Yeah,
I'm going to convert him now. One at a time.
You know, a man comes in bearing gifts, and studio guests are just like, "Hey, can I get?"
I will give him.
That is the best part about making things work.
Yeah.
There you go. So we're here with the greens. As you go out the door, let's talk about corporate culture. We always talk about that and being inclusive in the community.
Yeah.
You guys are partnering with U Crop, so everybody knows what the brand is, what they stand for.
Yeah.
When you guys launch Greenswell, would you incorporate in that to being a community partner?
I say that, like I was telling you, this idea came from Feedmore's need for fresh produce. 5% of all the product we grow goes to Feedmore. Wow. It goes to them. So without question, I think we made 60,000 meals for Feedmore last year that they were able to get to their people in need. So that's the baseline for what we do. We've got a strong team behind us that does all the hard work. When I say it's 13 of us,
13 are hustling.
And they are moving out there, and they do an amazing job with getting that product out the door, getting that product to the people. And the culture is, get it done. Figure out a way.
We don't know as customers, consumers, how things work, the process. We hear farm to table. We hear that. So how do things get from you guys to the store shelf?
Awesome question. Distribution model. So the distribution centers are kind of where I ship our product to a Kroger distribution center. Kroger takes our product, breaks it down, and ships it out to the 109 stores.
So you get it to their distribution center.
Yeah.
And then they handle it from there.
Yeah. The other ones, there's a kind of model I can deliver to them or they can pick up. What we try and utilize is backhauls as much as possible. Think about it this way. PFG is one of our biggest customers.
Okay.
Performance Food Groups.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are the ones who take food to restaurants. That's what we see them at.
Yeah. You'll see the PFG trucks going
all over.
So they're going to the restaurants delivering product. Well, guess what? That truck's, when it's empty, has got to go back to the distribution center and refill. Well, what do we utilize? Hey, you just dropped off at a restaurant at Shorefront, come 5 miles down the road or 2 miles down the road to our facility. We'll fill you up. You take it back to your distribution center. And it's been fun. It's been a lot of.
That's a model that works for everyone.
Everyone. Because we got a trucking shortage in this country. People don't realize it, but the average age of the truck driver in this country is almost 60 years old.
I can believe it. There used to be a time it was romantic.
Yep.
You're out on the open road.
You get to see the country.
Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, no, that slice of Americana went away with like Paul Harvey.
Yeah,
and now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah.
All righty. So one last time, how can people find you out there?
Okay, they can find us at greenswellgrowers.com. You can use our store locator on there. You can find our product. We just launched this week in Kroger with our co-branded item with U Crops, grown by Greenswell Growers. You can also find us in local food lines. You can also find us in local grocery stores. They were our first partners, the Libby Markets of the world, Good Foods Grocers, Elwood Thompson's, all the local grocers will probably have our product.
And it's good. A lot of times people don't realize, when you're doing things locally, like we don't know the time frame from the West Coast to here. We don't know.
You don't realize it until
yeah, right. And then it becomes a problem.
Yep.
You're like, okay, there are a lot of things that has to happen for things to work right. And for the most part, it worked right.
No.
And then COVID happened.
It doesn't.
And now it does. And they're like, hey, and all of a sudden we have to realize, but I kind of knew from a business standpoint about what it takes to get things on the shelf.
It takes a lot.
And like I said, which was a good day for Carl, it was a bad day for Mike.
Else.
Like, hey, Mike,
sorry, but
let the conversation go.
It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of meetings for us. We had to prove our product. They had to do trials on it. They had to do.
So when you go with trials, like what does that take? So you go there. Is that when we see things set up and in the aisle?
Yeah. Well, actually, no. People fight for that position in the aisle because you're going to walk by and grab that before you go over to that.
Yeah. Man.
They may take test markets. They have like certain test markets. If you actually, for the people in Richmond, the reason why you have so many grocery stores in this, you have more different types of grocery stores in Richmond than you do any other place.
I've heard. Yeah,
and the reason is it's whatever our demographics are inside of Richmond, they can trial everything out. We're attractive. It started from the trust that the Ukrops family put together in these grocery stores years ago. And they come out and they'll trial you in a couple stores. If it sells, it sells. You can make it, you can go to the next store. I mean, our hope with Kroger is we're successful in the Mid-Atlantic and we grow to other markets with Kroger.
There you go. Sir, I'd like to thank you for coming on the program. On the mic with Mike. That's what we do here. We talk to we live in session.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing whether it's food, whether it's music, we're talking to business people out there making different, like you said, a good chunk is going to feed more. How do we take care of the folks in need in the community? And I always say, changing the world ain't cheap, easy, or free.
Nope.
And, there are businesses who are out there making a difference, giving back, and doing the right thing. Greenswell Growers is one of them. We'd like to thank you for coming on the program. Hey, shout out to my man, Paul, who's out there with Richmond Grid.
Paul Spicer is a huge part of our company.
And, there are people who know people.
You got to know people.
He knows some people.
He knows some people.
He knows some, and it's the kind of people, it's the quality people that he knows.
It's the quality people that care about what you're doing and want to help you. There's not enough of those people out there, but the Richmond community is one of those communities. You always talk about the 7 degrees of separation. In Richmond, Mike, you're going to find it's 1 to 2 at best.
Really? I've introduced people to their cousin.
Exactly.
And I didn't know. They didn't know what this one did. I'm like, hey. And they're like, hey, Bob. Hey. Yep. How are you?
Yep.
And they're related but the business community. So when I talked to Bridget Bywater, who's over at King's Dominion, I asked her, what was it about the community? She said, I was shocked at how much the people get along. They get along.
They get along.
They get along in the business community.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what we do here. On the mic, Mike. Thanks for coming on the program, sir. Have a good one now. Take care.